Right, next paper. Advances in Satcom Amplifier Technologies by Kevin Kirkpatrick from Xicom. Kevin, may I give that to you?
Okay. Thank you very much to Barry and my friends at Profin for inviting me. I'm glad to be here in Turkey. So my homework assignment today was to talk about advances in HPA technology, and basically that's how we're spending our IR&D money to come out with new products, and not only our company, but other amplifier companies. So we come up with designs based on where the market is taking us. So it's these large market forces that are happening that really kind of drive the new products that we're coming out with. So we talked about the high throughput satellite and the very high throughput satellite. That's driving a lot of activity in Ka band amplifiers for us. And as we were talking about this morning, QV band is coming up, and we've got products that I'll show you on that. And then there's LEO and MEO systems that are coming up where they're going to want to have a lot of less expensive gateways, maybe smaller than the traditional gateways. So that's driving some work for us in the solid state realm. And then finally, mobile is just really taking off for us. So we've got airborne. We weren't even in this market a few years ago, and there was no market. And then there was kind of low data rate air-to-ground systems, and now there's satellite-based systems. So covering firmware, we had nothing in the market. We've got 1,000 planes flying, and next 18 months we'll have another 1,000, both in KU and Ka band. Shipboard, the cruise line operators will tell you people pay for these nice suites on their cruise ships, and then they want to go in the room and look at their smartphone with Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of satellite applications for shipboard. And then there's a lot for Satcom on the move and Satcom on the pause. So all of these mobile applications, the market said we need something smaller than traditional amplifiers. It's got to be more efficient, and there's got to be less heat. So given that, we had a whole line of gallium arsenide solid-state amplifiers, and we've really been moving toward putting all of our IR&D into gallium nitride. With the reason being is that the efficiency is so much better. We can get more power per cubic inch with a lot less thermal watts, and it shrinks things down. And then when you're operating on a mobile application, a lot of times it's battery operated, so you want a more efficient amplifier so it can run longer on the battery. So size, weight, and power is comparing our previous gas amplifiers to our GaN. They're about half the size and about double the efficiency. So that's really moved us and a lot of the rest of the industry toward putting more of their solid-state efforts in GaN technology. So this just shows a couple solid-state mimics for 6 watts at Ka band. So you can see the upper one there is a gas mimic and the lower one is GaN. So it's about 4 times bigger. So much more dense for a lot more power. So we can shrink the size of our box and make a more compelling mobile amplifier. So one thing to remember when specifying solid-state amplifiers is the traditional specification has been P1 dB for gas. That's really not a figure of merit that we use for GaN because the curve is a lot different. So when we specify, or other people specify GaN amplifiers, they don't really talk about P-sat so much or P1. It's more P-linear. So what's the linear operating point? So when you're going and looking for an amplifier for your a solid-state application, really try to focus on the linear power level. Because it's not a apples and apples comparison when you start talking about P1. So given the different technologies, our company does a lot of tube-based amplifiers. That's probably what we're best known for. We do gas, and then we do GaN. So tube amplifiers are, the best in terms of efficiency and size per a given, linear power. So, a 400 watt peak TWTA, the efficiency is in the 20%. Gas will be in the 5 to 6% efficiency, and GaN is in the kind of 12 to 15%. So each has their advantages and disadvantages. Tubes can go up higher in power, but every 6 or 7 years you need to replace a tube, and some people don't like to do that. So it really depends on the application and what you're trying to use it for. If it's a fixed site, maybe you don't care as much about the size and weight of the amplifier, whereas you would for a mobile. So this chart kind of changes. There's kind of in the lower, in the pink there is where you always use an SSPA in terms of the power and frequency. In the upper right in the blue is where you always use the TWTA, and this is in 2015. And that changes versus time. So now in 2018, solid state has encroached more on the TWTA market. But fortunately, we've got brand new frequencies that are opening up, like V-band. So we're moving a lot. So we still sell a lot of tube-based amplifiers just because so much activity is in Ka band and now QV band, where solid state doesn't have the power levels that people need. There's also rain fade considerations when you get to the higher frequency, so you need a bit more from your amplifier. But this changes every year, and we'll keep updating this chart as we go forward. So these are just some of the factors when you're trying to pick, kind of in the trade-off range, what's the most appropriate amplifier, the weight. A lot of like SNG, a lot of times they like to get things as small as possible. And on the move, same thing. So this is kind of shows we first started getting involved with Ka band back in the 90s with the ACT satellite, which was a NASA satellite that did a lot of work in Ka band. And then as we went forward, DirecTV was a big user of Ka band. They put all their high definition transmissions there. And now the HTS world is upon us, and there's a lot of satellites here. There's a lot more we could have shown. And a lot of the people talking today here have a lot, Avanti and HNS, a lot of other people, Yasat. Practically everybody's got some play in Ka band. So these are continuing to launch, continuing to put up a lot more, throughput capability. This is an NSR chart that always shows things going to infinity for the markets. And this kind of shows in terms of tube power and Ka band, just when we first started doing Ka band to where the market is now. So we creep up in power every year. Right now, this kind of standard is 500 watts, but 600, 650 is going to be becoming available soon. So QV band, Barry was talking about that. That's the hot new topic right now. And so a lot of people are looking, high throughput satellite people are looking at moving their gateway traffic to QV band and using Ka band to infill with subscribers. So we're fortunate to win a very large order for QV band, so we're going into production with that in the next couple months. And there's a lot of satellite operators are talking to us about QV band. So I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more happening in this frequency. So of course, there's challenges, for the uplink equipment. There weren't amplifiers, there weren't really antennas, a lot of the equipment wasn't there. But, we've been working on, developing products, so we put IR&D money into developing linearizers, waveguides, and TWTs. So we think we're there on that, and then there's different types of TWTs. Right now, we're just using the Helix one. They cover the broadband very well. It's 4.2 gigs of bandwidth available, and WRC has a meeting next year, and maybe they're going to add another gigahertz to that. So there's other couple cavity and folded waveguide, which are narrower band, but potentially can offer higher power levels.
1 minute.
Okay. Let's see. So let me just skip ahead and before Barry gives me the gong here. So we've got a 250 watt peak amplifier that we're going into production with, and we're shipping that starting the first quarter of next year. It does 80 watts of linear power at 19 dB NPR. So we've shown RF performance, checked out our linearizer and our amplifier there. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about what's going on is there's a lot more interest in liquid cooling of amplifiers right now. A lot of times in your hubs, the least reliable thing is the air conditioning system. So a lot of people want to move the heat out of the hub. So as we go to higher and higher amplifiers, liquid cooling becomes attractive because you can literally take the heat out of the hub. The amplifier is the biggest heat generator in the entire hub. So we're seeing a lot more on that. We just got a very large contract. So I think that's going to be another trend for high power amplifiers that you're going to see going forward. And this is just an example of a liquid cooled system where, like I said, we've got a heat exchanger that you take out of the hub and get all that heat away from all the electronics in there. And this just shows some 1-for-1 and 1-for-2 redundancy systems with heat exchangers. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, here's the prize. It's gold.
It's the resale value on this.
Yeah. Watch out as you go through customs.
Okay. Thank you very much.